A young woman is relying on the goodness of strangers as she battles kidney failure. At just 9.5 weeks old, Diana Smith was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. For years, she grew up like any other kid.
We didn't do life differently because of it.
But in high school, she began having difficulties with her lungs.
When I got into my 20s, I had to be on oxygen 24 hours a day. I had a lot of scarring in my lungs. And so then I needed a double lung transplant.
Shortly after, there was more trouble.
I did really well for 5 years, and then I started having the kidney issues from the transplant medication.
She's now on stage 5 renal failure and has dialysis treatments 3 times a week. That's when she began seeking a kidney donor of her own, as well as donors for others battling kidney failure.
Now I'm doing all that I can to try and find myself a living donor.
Right.
There's less of a wait. Otherwise, it can be up till 5 years till you find a kidney donor.
A person willing to be an organ donor goes through a class followed by blood tests.
They will take my blood and their blood and they'll mix it together to see if my blood attacks theirs. And then if it doesn't, then it's a good match and they can basically schedule a surgery date.
And if it's not a match?
They could match somebody else. So they're not just helping me, they could be potentially helping somebody else.
It's been a long road of ups and downs, but through it all, Diana's work as the vice president of the Shoreline Theater in Oscoda has been a constant.
It's great, you know, it's my second family, it's my second home.
She's a very dedicated volunteer. We have had weeks where my whole cast is here rehearsing and working at the theater, and Diana's in the hospital rehearsing with nurses and whoever happens to be available, and she shows up and doesn't miss a line after literally just being discharged from the hospitals.
Next month, she'll be taking the stage again in the production of Wait Until Dark. Until then, she'll continue treatment and her search for donors.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.